Listen up, because what I'm about to tell you is going to shake you to your core. We are literally standing at the edge of the biggest financial revolution in human history, and most people have absolutely no clue what's coming. I'm talking about XRP mass adoption happening within the next 24 months. And if you're not paying attention right now, you're going to miss the opportunity of several lifetimes. Let me paint you a picture of what's really happening behind closed doors, while everyone's arguing about Bitcoin and Ethereum. The smart money, the institutional players, the central banks, they're all quietly positioning themselves for what they know is inevitable. XRP isn't just another cryptocurrency anymore. It's becoming the backbone of the new global financial system, whether you believe it or not. You see, while everyone was sleeping, something massive happened. The Rex Osprey XRP ETF just dropped their strategy breakdown. And let me tell you, this isn't just another ETF filing. This is institutional America telling you exactly how they plan to capitalize on XRP's inevitable rise to 4-digit prices. But here's the kicker. They're not just buying XRP. They're building an entire ecosystem around it. The Rex Osprey Fund isn't messing around. They're committing to invest over 80% of their assets directly into XRP and XRP-linked products. We're talking about direct XRP purchases on Coinbase and Kraken, with the flexibility to use Cayman subsidiaries for compliance. But what really caught my attention is their 40% allocation strategy through global XRP ETFs, including partnerships with major players like 21 Shares, WisdomTree, and CoinShares. Now, you might be thinking, why would institutions pay fees for an ETF when they could just buy XRP directly? Here's the thing. They're not stupid. They know something we don't, or maybe they're just playing it safe while they test the waters. But mark my words. Once these institutions see the returns and understand the technology, they're going to want direct exposure. That's when the real fireworks begin. Let me tell you something that's going to blow your mind. We are exactly 24 months away from mass crypto adoption, and XRP is positioned to be the biggest beneficiary. The infrastructure is already being built. The partnerships are already in place. The regulatory framework is almost complete. Everything is falling into place like a perfectly orchestrated symphony. You want proof? Look at what's happening with retail adoption right now. Crypto payments are exploding everywhere. Coffee shops, gas stations, major retailers, they're all starting to accept crypto payments. But here's what most people don't realize. The technology that makes these seamless payments possible is built on the same foundation that XRP operates on. Fast, cheap, reliable cross-border transactions. Walmart piloted Bitcoin payments in 50 stores. Amazon accepts crypto through BitPay. Shopify merchants can instantly turn on crypto payments. But all of this is just the warm-up act. The real show starts when central bank digital currencies go live. And guess what bridges all these CBDCs together? That's right, XRP. Now, let me talk about something that's going to make your blood boil, but you need to hear this. The US government is playing a game so sophisticated that most people can't even see it happening. They are using stablecoins as a Trojan horse to create artificial demand for US treasuries, while simultaneously preparing to devalue the dollar and screw over everyone who's holding cash in banks. Here's how the scam works. Every stablecoin needs US treasury backing. USDT, USDC. They're all backed by treasuries. So the more stablecoins that get created, the more demand there is for US debt. But here's the sick part. Once all this debt is distributed globally through these stablecoins, they're going to devalue the dollar, just like they did in 1933 when they forced Americans to turn in their gold at $27.60 per ounce, only to immediately revalue it to $35 per ounce. Russia called this out just yesterday. One of their ministers straight up called it a Ponzi scheme, and he's absolutely right. The US has found a way to offload their $37 trillion debt onto unsuspecting global investors through the stablecoin mechanism. But here's where XRP comes in as the solution. XRP acts as a neutral rail. It's not issued by any government. It's not dependent on any single economy. It's not vulnerable to political manipulation. Morgan Stanley literally said XRP could be the $1 trillion threat to SWIFT. They're not speculating. They're telling you what's coming. Let me break down the 7 phases of XRP's path to global dominance, because we're already deep into this process. Phase 1 is the world payment rail integration. This is happening right now. Banks are testing XRP for cross-border payments because it's 1,000 times faster and 10,000 times cheaper than the current system. Phase 2 is CBDC and government adoption. Central banks around the world are building their digital currencies, and they need a bridge currency to connect them all. XRP is that bridge. Phase 3 is tokenization of real-world assets. We're talking about real estate, stocks, bonds, commodities. Everything is going to be tokenized, and XRP will be the liquidity layer that makes it all possible. Phase 4 is liquidity hub adoption. This is the next massive catalyst. Imagine all the world's liquidity pooled together with XRP as the connector. We're talking about trillions of dollars flowing through the XRP ecosystem daily. Phase 5 is regulatory green light. We are literally months away from complete regulatory clarity in the United States. Once that happens, it's game over for anyone not holding XRP. Phase 6 is derivatives and world-scale trading. This begins in 2026, and when institutional derivatives markets open up for XRP, we're talking about exponential price discovery. Phase 7 is the strategic escrow unlock through Ripple acquisitions. This is already happening, but most people don't understand the strategy. Every acquisition Ripple makes positions XRP for greater utility and adoption. But here's the real kicker, and this is where it gets absolutely insane. There's a very real possibility that XRP becomes an IMF special drawing right and a BIS Tier 1 asset. If that happens, we're looking at 4-digit XRP prices, and I'm not exaggerating. A lot of people believe that Ripple is actually an IMF product. Think about it. Brad Garlinghouse gets a seat at every major financial table. He's speaking at World Economic Forum events. He's meeting with central bank governors. This isn't coincidence. This is orchestration. Now, while all this incredible opportunity is developing with XRP, there's a dark cloud looming that most people are completely ignoring. I'm talking about the banking crisis that never went away. US banks are currently sitting on $395 billion in unrealized losses as of Q2 2025, and those numbers are probably much higher in reality. The banks are facing a massive liquidity crisis, and when it hits, they're not going to get bailed out by the government this time. Instead, they're going to implement bail-ins, which means they're going to take your money, the customer's money, to save themselves. Let me explain exactly how a bail-in works, because this is crucial information that could save your financial life. When a bank gets into trouble, they lock the doors and shut down the ATMs. Your money is trapped. Then they tell you to file an FDIC form, fill it out, and send it in. In return, you get stock in the bank that just collapsed. But what if the bank just changes its name and reopens? You're left holding worthless paper while your money's gone forever. The FDIC actually admitted this back in 2022, and I'm going to tell you exactly what they said. They basically admitted that they don't want the public to know about the problems because it would scare people and cause them to lose faith in the banking system. One FDIC official literally said, "I think you'd scare the public if you put this out." They'd be like, "Why are they telling me this? Should I be concerned about my bank?" They want you to have blind faith while they prepare to steal your money. This is happening, whether you want to believe it or not. The only question is when, not if. This is why nobody should be storing significant money in banks anymore. If you're a crypto investor, you should know better. The liquidity crisis is coming, and when it does, the big banks are going to swallow up the smaller banks because they're transitioning to a digital money system, and it's easier to manage a handful of massive banks than hundreds of smaller ones. Think about it logically. If you want to implement a global digital currency system, do you want to coordinate with 200 different banks or just 20? The consolidation is inevitable, and it's going to happen through controlled demolitions of smaller banks via bail-ins. But here's the beautiful part. This entire crisis could be solved right now with XRP technology. Instant settlement, minimal fees, complete transparency, and no counterparty risk. XRP eliminates the need for the correspondent banking system that's causing all these liquidity problems in the first place. Now, I need to warn you about something else that's becoming a serious problem as crypto prices continue to rise. Scammers are getting more sophisticated, and they're targeting crypto holders with increasingly clever schemes. Just recently, thousands of people received text messages that looked like they came from Coinbase. But if you looked closely, the sender was actually CoinBDSC, a complete fake. The message claimed that someone requested to disable two-factor authentication and provided a phone number to call. When people called, the scammers talked them into giving up all their private information and access to their accounts. This is just the beginning. As we enter the really exciting phase of this crypto cycle, these attacks are going to intensify dramatically. You need to be paranoid about everything. Double-check every message. Triple-check every website URL. Never give out your private keys or seed phrases to anyone for any reason. I'm telling you this because I genuinely want everyone listening to get life-changing money from this cycle. But you can't get rich if you lose your crypto to scammers. The opportunity we have with XRP over the next 24 months is unprecedented, but you have to protect your position. Let me paint you the complete picture of what's coming, because when you see it all connected, you'll understand why I'm so convinced that XRP is about to explode. The traditional financial system is breaking down. The $37 trillion US debt is unsustainable. The banking system is insolvent. The dollar's reserve currency status is being challenged by BRICS nations. Central banks are buying gold at record rates. Inflation is destroying purchasing power globally. But instead of fixing the problems, the establishment is doubling down on the same failed policies. They're printing more money, creating more debt, and using stablecoins as a mechanism to export their financial problems to the rest of the world. This is where XRP becomes the escape valve. It's the neutral, efficient, transparent alternative to the corrupt legacy system. When the current system finally collapses under its own weight, XRP will be standing ready as the foundation of the new global financial infrastructure. The institutional adoption we're seeing with the Rex Osprey ETF is just the tip of the iceberg. Once regulatory clarity arrives in the US, which is happening within months, the floodgates are going to open. Pension funds, insurance companies, sovereign wealth funds, central banks, they're all going to want exposure to XRP. But here's what most people don't understand about the Rex Osprey strategy. They're not just buying XRP and holding it. They're building a comprehensive ecosystem that includes staking rewards to offset fees, strategic partnerships with global exchanges, and flexible compliance structures that can adapt as regulations evolve. The fact that they're targeting one-to-one exposure to XRP price movements while building in mechanisms to capture staking rewards shows that they understand XRP's long-term value proposition. They're not just betting on price appreciation, they're betting on XRP becoming a yield-generating asset as it becomes the backbone of global liquidity. And speaking of liquidity, let me explain why the liquidity hub concept is so revolutionary. Right now, global liquidity is fragmented across thousands of different systems, currencies, and time zones. Moving money from one place to another requires multiple intermediaries, each taking fees and adding delays. XRP eliminates all of that friction. It creates a single, global liquidity pool where any currency can be instantly converted to any other currency at minimal cost. When this system reaches critical mass, the network effects are going to be absolutely explosive. Imagine every bank, every payment processor, every remittance company, every cryptocurrency exchange using XRP as their bridge currency. We're talking about trillions of dollars in daily volume flowing through the XRP ecosystem. At that scale, even tiny fees per transaction generate massive revenue for XRP holders through staking rewards. This is why I keep saying we're 24 months away from mass adoption. The infrastructure is being built right now. The partnerships are being formed. The regulatory framework is being established. The institutional products are being launched. Everything is converging at exactly the same time. But while this incredible opportunity is developing, the traditional financial system is preparing for its controlled demolition. The bail-in mechanisms are already in place. The legal framework has been established. The public messaging has been crafted to minimize panic while maximizing compliance. When the crisis hits, and it will hit, most people are going to be caught completely off guard. They'll wake up one morning to find their bank accounts frozen, their ATM cards deactivated, and their life savings converted to worthless bank stock. But if you're holding XRP in self-custody, none of that affects you. Your wealth is stored on a decentralized ledger that no government or bank can control. You can send value anywhere in the world instantly without asking anyone's permission. You're financially sovereign in a way that previous generations could never imagine. This is why XRP isn't just an investment. It's financial insurance against the collapse of the current system. And as that system continues to deteriorate, more and more people are going to realize that they need that insurance. The smart money already knows this. That's why institutional adoption is accelerating so rapidly. That's why central banks are quietly testing CBDC bridges built on XRP technology. That's why the Rex Osprey ETF is positioning for massive XRP exposure. They can see what's coming, and they're positioning accordingly. The question is, are you? Over the next 24 months, we're going to witness the most dramatic financial transformation in human history. The old system of correspondent banking, slow settlement, high fees, and centralized control is going to be replaced by instant, cheap, transparent, decentralized value transfer. XRP is going to be at the center of this transformation. Not because some crypto enthusiasts think it's a good idea, but because it's the most efficient solution to real problems that affect trillions of dollars in global commerce every single day. When major corporations realize they can save millions of dollars annually by using XRP for cross-border payments, they're going to adopt it. When banks realize they can eliminate counterparty risk and reduce settlement time from days to seconds, they're going to adopt it. When governments realize they can maintain monetary sovereignty while participating in global trade more efficiently, they're going to adopt it. This isn't speculation anymore. This is inevitability. The only question is whether you're going to position yourself to benefit from it or get left behind. The Rex Osprey ETF filing shows that institutional America is taking XRP seriously. The IMF and BIS discussions about central bank digital currencies show that global monetary authorities are taking XRP seriously. The ongoing regulatory clarity process shows that the US government is taking XRP seriously. When institutions worth trillions of dollars and governments controlling global trade all start taking something seriously at the same time, you need to pay attention. This isn't retail FOMO or social media hype. This is coordinated adoption by the most powerful financial entities on Earth. And while this adoption is happening, the banking crisis that most people think is over is actually just getting started. Those $395 billion in unrealized losses are based on accounting tricks that hide the true extent of the problem. When interest rates eventually have to rise to combat persistent inflation, those losses are going to become very real, very quickly. The Federal Reserve is trapped. They can't raise rates without bankrupting the banks and crashing the economy. But they can't keep rates low forever without destroying the dollar and triggering hyperinflation. They're going to try to thread the needle by implementing bail-ins to recapitalize the banks while maintaining low rates to keep the government debt manageable. This is going to create massive civil unrest when people realize their savings have been confiscated to save the banks that caused the problem in the first place. But by then, it will be too late to do anything about it, unless you're already holding XRP and other hard assets outside the banking system. Then you'll be watching the chaos from a position of financial strength, knowing that your wealth is secure and likely to appreciate dramatically as people flee the collapsing traditional system. The next 24 months are going to separate the financially savvy from the financially naive. Those who understand what's happening and position themselves accordingly are going to experience life-changing wealth creation. Those who ignore the warning signs and trust the system that's designed to exploit them are going to lose everything. I can't make this decision for you. I can only show you the information and let you decide what to do with it. But I can tell you this. Everything I've explained tonight is already in motion. The institutional adoption, the regulatory framework, the ETF launches, the banking crisis, the bail-in preparations. None of this is theoretical anymore. We are living through the most important financial transition in centuries, and XRP is positioned to be the biggest beneficiary. Whether you choose to participate or not is entirely up to you. But remember this, in 24 months, when XRP is trading at 4-digit prices and the banking system has completed its controlled demolition through bail-ins, you're going to look back at this moment and realize it was the most important financial decision point of your life. The opportunity is here. The information is available. The choice is yours. What are you going to do with it? Stay alert, stay informed, and most importantly, stay financially sovereign. The next 2 years are going to be absolutely wild, and I want everyone listening to come out ahead when the dust settles. This is the biggest opportunity of our generation, but you have to act on it while there's still time. The window is closing fast, and once it shuts, it's not opening again.